Okay, let me grab this crowbar. I got Mr. Bozo locked into my bathroom, my shop bathroom. I'm gonna take this crowbar and he is never gonna come back here again. Let me set this here so I can grab it and I'm gonna beat the hell out of him. Here we go. Oh, Howie's got him. Oh, the door opened up. Wait a minute, Howie, you didn't protect him? Howie, how did he get out? Oh, Howie, you were supposed to hold him in the bathroom. I had you out there standing guard. Oh, what the? Oh no! Mr. Bozo ripped up my no Bozo sign. What the heck is this? What's going on here? Oh no. He tagged me. He tagged me like that Bruce Winton. There's my Aussie and he went, Mr. Bozo tagged me. There's my no Bozos and he tagged me with a Bozo. Wait a minute, what's this? What's this here on the counter? What's this on the counter? Let me open this up. I'm trying to do this one-handed. I'm trying to do this. Let me hold this, put the camera down. Hang on a second, guys. What the hell is this? I got it. I'm sorry. There we go. What the heck is going on? Alright. Wait a minute. Amateur Redneck Workshop. What is this? Mr. Bozo. As agreed, I have given you a map to outside Screwball. You told me this is a trade, and you would leave Texas and my shop. Go bust his balls, his screwy balls, Harold Walters. Harold, you gave him a map to my house? Come on, Harold, I thought you were my buddy. Oh no. Hey Harold, I got something for you. There you go, buddy. Oh no, Harold. I got tagged. He ripped up my Bozo sticker. Oh man. Alright, let's get on with this Screwy Tuesday. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by my shop today. It's Chuck, outside Screwball, and had to have a little Screwy fun starting this one. And Harold, you're still my buddy. I just had to get you back a little bit and get on you. So anyway, let's talk about a few things here. As you can see, I got the little South Bend 1001 here, and we're going to talk about that today. You saw in the last video, a friend down the street happened to give me the machine, and I just actually went down tonight and he got his new Acura tool room lathe. It's a beauty, and we're going to grab the camera here somewhere in the future and go down and take some video of his shop, what he builds. And he says he's got a couple tricks to show us too, so that'll be great. And let's talk about this whole YouTube community for a second. You know, here I'm kidding around with Harold in Texas. He's a friend. We met at the Bash. Great guy. I really enjoy him. I'll enjoy watching his videos. And so this whole YouTube community. Last Tuesday, I posted this machine. And I'm gonna have some timers now. I'm gonna write his name down. I just looked it up to make sure I remember his name, and I just forgot it. Anyway, he wrote me. He's from Illinois, and he wrote me about the lathe, and he has the same lathe. And we talked on the phone for about an hour, and really shared some experiences and discussed the lathe, and had a great time. And subsequent to that. And of course, you know I'm a buyer, and so I was on Craigslist, and this is a little off subject of YouTube here for a second, but a guy on Craigslist had a large, boy, I'm really having some problems thinking here tonight, a broach set. And I went over to look at it, and we were in his shop and talking about it. His name's Damon. I remember that, thank God. And as we were chatting along, he says, "Oh, I really love my lathe." I go, "Really? Where's your lathe?" And we walked around into the next portion of his shop, and there's probably the cousin to this guy right there. And he's had it for X years, had great success with it. He had changed the spindle bearings in it once. My friend from Illinois has never had to change the spindle bearings yet. And it was just so ironic to be talking to somebody in Illinois in the morning, and then here within 10 minutes of my house come across another fellow with the same lathe. And he gave me some tips and pointers, and we'll talk about that after. But let's flip back to the YouTube community. So here's a quick picture of a recent visit to my shop. We're back from that little photo. Yeah, John Saunders. John Saunders visited my shop over the weekend, and I got to tell you, I'm very, very lucky. I've had Tom Lipton here, Stan Zinkosky here, Ray Cornelia here, Don Cosset here, Razor Ray here, who am I forgetting? Randy Richards been here, and yeah, I probably left somebody out. Shit. Anyway, a lot of guys have come by to visit with me, all YouTube creators, and I got to say I am really blessed with their friendship, blessed with the community that I'm involved in, and it's just amazing. And we were talking about it on this weekend. I got together with John Saunders and Stan Zinkosky. Stan, of course, is working up in the area over at Gillig Bus, if you've been watching his videos. And we went on another tank tour. And we're going to flip off to a couple of little videos and photos of that. And then we will talk about the South Bend. Now, just to tell you real quick, the introduction here with Mr. Bozo. Well, Mr. Bozo, and that's part of the reason that I did that little fun screwing around. Mr. Bozo kicked my butt putting this little guy back together. It was late in the evening, I guess. I'm going to blame it on that. Okay, so let's take a few looks at the tank tour. And a little preface: prior to the tank tour, I think there's only one photo from the tank tour. You've seen it on my channel. Prior to that, our host Paul, and I'm going to hold his last name in suspense. He doesn't want to be really out there in the public eye, although he is in one of the photos today. Paul is one of the key people that arranged this, along with Ken Cormack, who is involved, and I've talked about him with his different charities that he's involved in museum. But we managed, adjacent to Paul's property, you're going to see I'm going to call it a deuce-and-a-half truck. I guess it's a 5-ton truck, right? Deuce-and-a-half. That's pretty awesome, and we did a couple of videos on there. All right, enough of me yakety-yakking here about my life and my shop and what's happening here. And let's go on and look at a couple of photos, and then I'll give a little discussion on putting the South Bend back together. Right there.
Well, you never met two guys that had more fun.
I mean, they got pins in it to pin them off. Hey, Paul, can we pull the pins to let this thing pivot?
It does.
Can we pull the pin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Swivel. No.
Now, when they...
Where's the swivel? Oh, maybe right here?
Now, in the ammo
There,
can...
now we're talking.
Here you go.
In the ammo can there,
John.
there should be a belt of 50.
Point the
Point a gun at...
No.
Screwy Sunday just got a little.
I know you don't like my videos. Come on.
Guy's got no balls.
Oh, here we go with the ball jokes.
Now we're starting to ball jokes again.
Brought it on himself.
He's really self-inflicted.
But the one you want to get in, is
I would want more armor.
you want to get in the turret.
You are the target. The upper.
That one there, you see it's got a seat. You see that?
Oh, coming up through the.
Release the truck.
No kidding.
Easy.
Boom, 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 boom. It's a worthy investment right there.
This is cool.
Need some earplugs?
You know, Chuck picked me up in a Corvette, and now I'm in the antithesis of a Corvette.
Really?
It's just amazing. Blackout, it's got the blackout drive. That's pretty new then.
All the controls on the thing is nice.
It's got a PTO? Really?
No problem. It's a nice view.
1984.
84.
That's what it says. John, look out behind you. They're coming from behind. They're coming from behind.
The Germans. You know, I gotta think there's a right way to do it. Because they didn't change the suspension.
That's 45. But with all
Okay, let's have a little discussion on the South Bend here. Just for kicks and giggles, we will fire it up. And if you had watched the last video, and maybe I'll put a clip in where it was banging away. And so it's on the high-speed belt right now, and she'll spin up to a little over 2,000 RPM, and nice and quiet and running really well. So let's talk about my rebuild on it. And there'll be a little bit of video footage. And as I said, Mr. Bozo decided to come and see me because I'm a dummy, I think. So in the last video, you saw me pull the spindle out, and I had to buy bearings for it. So I did buy new bearings for the spindle and went to put it back together. And as I was putting it back together, for some reason, I got confused on, for some reason, Mr. Bozo, I'll blame it on Mr. Bozo, on how this outside cover sat with the first protector on the bearing which holds the oil in. And so I put it together, right? I pressed the bearing on, and I did it wrong. And this guy was locked up. Everything was locked up. Okay, well, take it back apart. So I'm good at that. Took it back apart, sat there and studied it for a few minutes, and I actually called Damien, that I mentioned that I met earlier in the afternoon, because he had said he'd rebuilt his spindles, and see if he could understand what I was trying to jibber jabber about, and he really didn't understand what I was trying to say, so I understood that. So enough looking at it, and I figured it out finally. So ended up pressed the bearing back onto the spindle, and was ready to go ahead and put it back together. Of course, yeah, I knocked the races out. It's a cup and cone, right? A race and a, here they are right here. There's I call it a race, but that's a cup and a cone. And so I had knocked these out. And so I said, well, it's a little bit late in the evening, but let's go for it. Put it back together. And so what do? I pick up the cup, or the race, and I put it back in the front part of the head here. Well, I'm going, okay, that's nice. It's all ready to go. And I turn my head and I look over on top of one of the Lista cabinets, and there's the Timken bearing boxes, and there's the race sitting on top of the Timken bearing box. Well, of course, being very smart, I didn't want to confuse all the different races and bearings. I had left the new race up on top of the cabinet so I wouldn't confuse it. So I put the old race right back into the head. So I had to take that race out, put the new race in, put the second race in. Guess what, guys? Mr. Bozo came and visited me a couple of times tonight already. 9 o'clock at night, and I'm tired. Old Charlie put in the old race. The new race is sitting up there so I wouldn't confuse which race it was. And I put the old race back in. So now I gotta take it back out. Almost there. Mr. Bozo, stay over at Harold's, or Randy Richards, or Don Cossett's, Tom Lipton's. Go visit somebody I can't say deserves them. I deserve, I guess, Mr. Bozo as good as anybody. My luck, I'll fly out of here and hit my new camera. So I'm shutting it off before Mr. Bozo gets me again. It's almost there. Okay, time to put the new race in. So you didn't get to watch it the first time, you get to watch it the second time. Looks pretty square. Back you guys up. Give me some swinging room. You can hear that rebound. Okay, it's in. Goddamn dummy. All right, we'll continue on again. But I'm tired. I'm going to bed, and we'll start this again tomorrow. And I'll bring you around the other side here. And I started putting the back side of the unit together. So let's see if we can. It's going to be a little bumpy ride here. You're on a cart, and let's see if we can do it. If we can do this without messing everything up. So here we are at the opposite end of the spindle. And so I put the bearing in. There's a spacer, a gear, spacer, and the final pulley. These are your, this is in high speed right now, and the belt up here you would be on low speed. Let's bring the light over. I don't know if that helps at all. But so I put this back together, and as I started to put some preload on the bearings, I thought I had enough preload on the bearing, and of course I tried running it, and the sound was exactly what you heard earlier, the thump, 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 thump. And so I realized that I needed to put more preload onto the bearings, and I continually kept adjusting it and adding preload on the bearings to where I got it running just perfect. Well, subsequent to that night or the next morning, Damien had sent me from Grizzly how to preload the bearings. And it's a pretty simple situation where you actually put a dial indicator on the front of the chuck, and you preload the indicator, and as you tighten down the back, I call it a nut here on the spindle, to set the preload on the bearings, you continually tighten until all of a sudden your dial indicator has no more movement. showing that you've actually preloaded the bearings completely. There's no more compression of the bearings. From that point on, you add another maybe 1/16 of a turn to complete the preload of the bearings, and then you run the machine roughly at around 2,000, higher RPMs. Let it run for 15-20 minutes, and you basically touching your hand on these two covers and the shaft. They're going to get warm, of course. And if you can hold your hand on it, it's a good preload. If you can hold your hand on it and you got to take it off because it's too hot, it's basically set too tight, and you just need to back off the nut here with a spanner. With that said, so Mr. Bozo visited me as I put it back together. I think you can see, maybe you can see this right here. It's the little magnet for the pickup. Of course, when I put it all back together, I had no RPMs. I was trying to figure out, since I had taken the sensor off, what did I goof up there? Well, I hadn't, I thought I put it back together the way I took it off. I swear I did. Mr. Bozo maybe removed all the parts and restacked them. But anyway, I had the spacers in the wrong locations. So once I did that, of course, I got my RPM should back up. The other interesting thing is that the previous owner, and you saw it in the original video, and you can see it basically right here. He was packing using the Zerk fittings here. He was actually using grease, and in the manual it says do not use grease. You need to use ISO 32 oil. When I reassembled it, I'm using ISO 32 oil. Now, I don't have a gun that pumps oil into Zerk fittings, and Damien showed me a cool trick. What did I do with the rest of it? And you can see the little plastic hose sticking up here. Let me see what I did. Here it is. So when I was over at Damien's shop, I saw that and I go, what do you do with that? And he goes, well, I basically fill this with oil, and then I just take one of these guys, put it right on top, and that's what I pressure feed the oil into the spindle bearing, one on each side. And so that's what I've done, and it's worked really, really nice. Everything else is grease fittings, but these two need oil. And so that was, with the luck of the draw of learning something like that just by being in somebody's shop was pretty cool. I'll probably even modify put a little notch here in the cover so I can leave the other plastic tube, which is right here. Leave the other plastic tube on there, and don't have to open the cover to add oil. So that's the extent of it. It turns out I still need to figure out as you can see here on the cover, the various belt layouts and gearing, and I'll be working on that. I did have it set up, and when Damien came over, he said you got it wrong. So I'm gonna leave it and maybe get Damien back over here, and we'll kind of go through it. He did notice I was missing one of these types of bolts for setting up one of the smaller gears, and I may have to order that. With that said, it's a beautiful little lathe, and I've already made some cuts on it. Just not with spindle feed, but just by hand, and does a nice job. And yesterday, Sunday, I actually I said I was going to make a wood lathe out of it as kind of a half-assed joke. I had to turn a little wood dowel, and of course I covered it up with a cloth and everything and did that. We've leveled the lathe. It's all been leveled. I did that on Saturday with the help of my buddy Chewy. Thank you, Chewy, for all of your assistance. He knows what I'm saying with my little chuckle there, and looking forward to it. Now, can you see it there in the video? I think you can see it. Let's see if that helps. You see the stripe going up the wall? Well, it's pretty ironic that my first lathe was a South Bend 10 heavy, and this was the location that I had it. the machine room wasn't built back then, where I have all the other equipment. And you can see where the truck was throwing oil up there. And here we are, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years later, and a little South Bend ends up in the same location that the 10 Heavy was. Still miss that 10 Heavy. It was a heck of a machine. And if anybody needs any paperwork on the 10 Heavy, I do have it in PDF format, all the parts and part numbers and everything. And I'd be more than happy to share it with you. Email for me is boat92 at AOL.com. Glad to help you if that works for you. Okay, I'm gonna clip together a little video of me doing some stuff, and hope you enjoy it. And let's see what else I got to tell you. Going tomorrow, looking at moving another tool over here to the shop I've purchased. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. You can only guess. And I think that's about it. Other than that, I got a lot of work in here to do on other things. All right, guys. Thanks for viewing, and we'll see you next Screwy Tuesday, unless I got a little short screw or another teaser. Who did you let him out? You let Bozo out. Look at him cowering down. Okay, you didn't let Mr. Bozo out. You're a good boy. Okay, you're a good boy. Okay, you're my buddy.